Russian President Vladimir Putin visited military headquarters in Ukraine's Kherson and Luhansk regions. These two regions are partly held by Russia. Putin attended a military command meeting to hear reports from his commanders. Russian forces retreated from Kherson last November, but they have been reinforcing their positions on the bank of the Dnipro River. They're anticipating a Ukrainian counteroffensive. The Japanese foreign minister has said that the Russian threat to station nuclear weapons in Belarus is unacceptable. Yoshimasa Hayashi was speaking on behalf of all G7 diplomats. He added that the G7 countries would step up cooperation over the Ukraine war. They would work to prevent third parties from providing weapons to Russia. Ukraine aims to reopen food and grain transit via Poland. The country has called it a first step towards ending import bans. Poland and Hungary banned some grain imports from Ukraine to help their local agricultural sector. Poland says Ukraine needs help, but the cost of the help should be spread over all European countries. Slovakia has banned the import of grains and other farm products from Ukraine. However, the country will keep borders open for transit to third markets. Last week, Slovakia banned the distribution of a batch of Ukrainian grain. The step was taken after high levels of pesticides were detected in the shipment. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has thanked Brazil for its efforts to resolve the war in Ukraine. Lavrov and Brazilian Foreign Relations Minister held a meeting in Brazil's capital, Brasilia. They discussed plans to boost meat exports to Russia and secure imports for Brazilian farmers. Earlier, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva proposed a way to end the Ukraine war. He suggested that a group of nations not involved in the war could broker a peace deal. Polish forces conducted a counteroffensive exercise. Air, ground and sea forces teamed up to train on a strategy to liberate the Vistula Split Canal. The canal is located a few miles away from Russia's enclave of Kaliningrad. It was inaugurated in 2022. It allows ships to cross the Gdansk Bay and reach the Baltic Sea while avoiding Russian waters. Clashes continue in Sudan for the fourth day. More than 180 people have been killed and over 1,800 have been injured. The Sudanese army and rapid support forces continue to fight. The two sides are using tanks, artillery, fighter jets and heavy weapons to attack each other. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has made a statement on Egyptian troops being held in Sudan. He said they were merely there to conduct exercises with their Sudanese counterparts. He clarified that the troops were not there to support any warring parties. This comes as clashes continue across Sudan between the army and the paramilitary group called the Rapid Support Forces. The RSF shared a video that showed Egyptian troops who had surrendered to them. Al-Sisi said he is in contact with the RSF to ensure the safety of the Egyptian soldiers. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said that a US diplomatic convoy was attacked in Sudan. Blinken clarified that those inside the convoy were safe and unharmed, but he called the action reckless and irresponsible. The attack comes at a time when Sudan is facing clashes. An 84-year-old white man has been charged with first-degree assault for shooting a 16-year-old. The black teenager, Ralph Yarl, was shot after he mistakenly went to the wrong home to pick up his siblings. This occurred in Kansas City in the US state of Missouri. Prosecutors have said that there is a racial component to the shooting. The teenager is recovering at home after being released from the hospital. Two New York residents have been arrested for allegedly operating a Chinese secret police station in Manhattan's Chinatown. A 59-year-old and a 61-year-old face charges of conspiring to act as agents of the Chinese government. Those arrested are US citizens. This is part of a crackdown on Beijing's alleged targeting of US-based dissidents. An 18-wheeler fuel tanker overturned on a highway in the US state of Texas. The tanker burst into flames. One person has been killed. The Texas Department of Public Safety has opened an investigation into the incident. Pension reform protesters gathered in central Paris. They interrupted French President Emmanuel Macron while he was delivering a speech on national television. Hundreds of protesters chanted anti-Macron slogans while banging pots and pans. The speech came 2 days after France's new pension reform bill was signed into law. It will increase the retirement age in the country from 62 to 64 years starting this September. A gunman opened fire on a vehicle in East Jerusalem. 2 people have been wounded in the incident. The attack comes days after violence broke out at Al-Aqsa Mosque. Clashes had broken out between Israeli police and Palestinians. 60 migrants were rescued from 2 boats in the central Mediterranean. They have now landed in the island nation of Malta. This is the largest arrival of migrants on the island in months. The migrants were picked up by a merchant ship between Malta and Libya. This comes days after a senior Italian politician criticized Malta for failing to rescue people in its search and rescue zone. Nigeria aviation employees have blocked roads to the domestic terminal of Lagos Airport. This comes as they begin a 2-day strike to protest against working conditions and wages. The protesters are threatening to slow traffic and delay flights. Unions representing pilots, engineers, and other aviation workers are striking. They have accused the government of failing to implement a minimum wage for the industry. A drone video has captured the extent of damage left behind by a powerful tornado in the US state of Mississippi. At least 23 people had been killed and 4 went missing. The tornado left a trail of destruction of more than 160 kilometers. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves had declared a state of emergency in the affected areas. Areas in the north of Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, are flooded due to heavy rains. Water levels have been on the rise, but locals are hoping for better weather conditions. A previously unknown coral reef with abundant marine life has been discovered near Ecuador's Galapagos Islands. More than 50% of the coral in the reef are living coral. The Galapagos are home to giant tortoises, albatrosses, cormorants, and other species, some of which are endangered. Conservationists have launched a project to create one of England's biggest native woodlands. They have planted 100,000 trees in the Yorkshire Dales in northern England. This is one of the UK's largest ever reforesting projects. It will cover an area equal to over 1,000 football pitches. Ernst & Young's US arm has said it will let go of 5% of its workforce. The layoffs will affect around 3,000 employees in the US unit. According to reports, the layoffs would mainly affect its consulting business. Reports suggest that the decision was taken keeping the overcapacity in the company in mind. Deposits at 3 US financial institutions fell in the first quarter this year. They fell 3% each at Custodian Bank, State Street Corp, and the regional M&T Bank. Meanwhile, deposits at financial firm Charles Schwab shrank 11%. This comes as customers are now seeking better returns elsewhere post the recent banking crisis. Britain is due to adopt rules for regulating stablecoins. Stablecoins are a form of cryptocurrency that are backed by an asset or fiat currency. Bank of England's Deputy Governor John Cunliffe has said, and I quote, "Systemic stablecoins will need to be backed with high quality and liquid assets." Financial firm HSBC's biggest shareholder will reportedly vote in favor of splitting the bank up. The vote is due to take place during the company's annual investor meeting on the 5th of May. The shareholder has urged the financial firm to spin off its Asian business for a long time now. E-cigarette maker Juul has reached a settlement on claims by the US state of Minnesota. These claims accused it of aggravating teen vaping addiction. According to reports, the terms of the settlement will be announced in 30 days. The US Treasury has said that some automakers will lose access to $7,500 electric vehicle tax credits. The automakers include BMW, Nissan, and Volkswagen, among others. This comes as part of new rules for battery sourcing in the US. The rules are aimed at helping the US give up dependence on China for EV battery supply. Swedish telecom company Ericsson has said that its chief financial officer will step down at the end of 2024. CFO Carl Melander has worked in the company for more than 25 years. According to reports, Melander has been instrumental in cutting costs and scaling back company expansions during his term. Apple is seeking to attract US savers with a new high-yield savings account. The company said that its Apple Card users can earn an annual yield of 4.15% by putting their money in the new savings account. According to reports, the yield is 10 times the US national average. Apple's move comes as customers are moving their money to banking giants from smaller lenders post the banking crisis. Public broadcaster Canadian Broadcasting Corporation has said that it will pause its Twitter activities. This comes after the social media platform labeled the company's Twitter account as 69% government-funded media. In the past weeks, Twitter attached similar labels to other media organizations like America's National Public Radio and the UK's BBC. 9 more US states have joined a Department of Justice lawsuit against tech giant Google. The states joining the lawsuit include Michigan, Nebraska, and Arizona, among others. The lawsuit alleges that Google broke antitrust laws while running its digital advertising business. It calls for the company to sell its Ad Manager suite because it illegally abused its ad dominance. Moving on to sports now. In cricket, Chennai Super Kings defeated Royal Challengers Bangalore by 8 runs at Bangalore's M.A. Chinnaswamy Stadium last evening. CSK scored 226 for 6 after being asked to bat first. RCB looked on course until the departure of Glenn Maxwell and skipper Faf du Plessis in quick succession. The duo added 126 runs for the third wicket to raise hopes of an RCB victory, but it was not to be. Sunrisers Hyderabad will take on Mumbai Indians at Hyderabad's Rajiv Gandhi International Stadium later tonight. Both teams are coming into the fixture having won their previous 2 encounters. They will be eager to complete their hat-trick of wins while playing against each other. With both teams having got their campaign back on track, the contest promises to be a mouth-watering battle. The match will begin at 7:30 p.m. IST. FIFA has announced that Argentina will host the Under-20 Football World Cup. The international football body's move comes following its decision to strip Indonesia of the right to stage the tournament. Indonesia has been disqualified after the country's FA cancelled the draw to be held in Bali. This was after Bali's governor refused to host Israel's team. The tournament will be held from the May 20th to June 11th. Real Madrid coach Carlo Ancelotti has stressed his side can't be complacent despite a 2-0 lead over Chelsea. Goals from Karim Benzema and Marco Asensio gave the defending champions a comfortable 2-0 victory in the opening leg last week. However, Ancelotti expects a tough match with a complete performance needed. The second leg of the Champions League will be a grilling encounter which will be held tonight. Spanish football giant Barcelona's president Joan Laporta has defended the club in a bribery scandal. He said that all payments made to a company owned by senior refereeing official were transparent. Laporta added that the payments were made in exchange for advisory services and not to gain any illegal sporting advantage. The club is accused of making payments of almost $8 million from 2001 to 2018. This was to firms owned by referee Jose Maria Enriquez Negreira. Liverpool have won for the first time in 5 English Premier League games after thrashing Leeds 6-1 late on Monday evening. The Reds hadn't tasted victory in more than 6 weeks, not since routing Manchester United 7-0. Manager Jurgen Klopp has hailed what he calls Liverpool's best performance of the season. They, however, remain 8th in the standings, 2 points behind Brighton. Brazilian football player Dani Alves has said he had consensual sex with a woman who accused him of sexual assault. According to Alves' lawyer, the 39-year-old ex-footballer appeared before the judge handling the investigation on Monday at his own request. He has been jailed without bail since January 20th. Aston Martin's F1 team principal Mike Crank has admitted that closing the gap between his team and Red Bull is a tough challenge. Crank acknowledged that Aston Martin has shaved off 1.5 seconds of their deficit to Red Bull over the winter, but they now have less scope to improve further. Red Bull are the current leaders of the championship. Philadelphia Eagles' Jalen Hurts becomes the highest-paid player in America's National Football League history. The development comes after the quarterback agreed to a 5-year, $255 million contract extension. The deal includes the first no-trade clause in Eagles franchise history and a $179 million guaranteed. This includes $110 million on the signing of the deal. Ukrainian Olympic figure skating champion Oksana Bayul-Farina has said that Russians should not be allowed to compete in the Olympics. She added that Ukrainian athletes and sports federations should decide for themselves whether to compete. Farina won the first ever Olympic gold for Ukraine at the 1994 Olympic Games after the fall of the Soviet Union. A song generated by artificial intelligence has cloned the voices of musicians Drake and The Weeknd. The song, titled Heart on My Sleeve, has gone viral on streaming platforms. The song's creator goes by the name of Ghostwriter. It was taken down due to copyright concerns. Russia has announced the release of its first ever feature film shot in space. The film is titled The Challenge. It will be released this month in Russia, Serbia, and some parts of Ukraine that Russia claims to have taken over. The film was shot in space in 2021 over the course of 12 days. Actor Sylvester Stallone has announced his first film after a multi-year deal with Amazon Studios. The action comedy film is titled Never Too Old to Die. It's based on a script by screenwriter Brian Otting. Stallone's company, Balboa Productions, will produce the film.
We're always working on this script, trying to get it tighter and funny.
Actor Geraldine Vishwanathan has joined Amazon Studios' film You Are Cordially Invited. Vishwanathan is best known for her 2018 teen comedy film Blockers. She joins actors Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon in the upcoming comedy film. Shooting for the film will begin in the city of Atlanta in the US state of Georgia. Actor James McAvoy has joined the cast of the horror film See No Evil. The film is a remake of the 2022 Dutch psychological horror film Geesteren. It will be written and directed by James Watkins. The remake will be released in theaters in August next year. Actor Mel Gibson and rapper 50 Cent will star in lead roles in the indie crime thriller Boneyard. The The film is based on a true story. It tells the tale of an FBI special agent on the hunt for a serial killer. Shooting for the film is underway in Las Vegas in the US. The Late Show with James Corden is coming to an end after 8 years. For the final episode, the show has locked singer Harry Styles and actor Will Ferrell as guests. The show began in March 2015 and is in its 9th season. The finale will be broadcast on the 27th of April. Nathan Fillion's star drama series The Rookie has been renewed for a 6th season. News of the renewal comes ahead of the season 5 finale. It'll air on the 2nd of May. The show is expected to hit the 100-episode mark in the upcoming season. Talent management agency Entertainment 360 has dropped actor Jonathan Majors as its client. The announcement comes weeks after Majors was arrested on charges of assault and harassment. The actor was arrested in New York in March. Previously, a public relations agency had also dropped Majors. K-pop singer J-Hope is set to begin his mandatory military service in South Korea. With this, J-Hope becomes the second member of the band BTS to enlist in the service. The 29-year-old shared the news with his fans and wrote that he will be back later. All members of the band are expected to complete their training by 2025.